Chairman, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to the great question before us now. The point that I would like to make is that each of the last three nominees to the Supreme Court have had their nominations clouded by procedural aberration or irregularity. All three. First, when the president was denied his appointment of a Supreme Court nominee many months before an election on the grounds that the public should have its voice. No hearing, no meetings, no vote. Second, when some very unpleasant allegations arose against the second nominee, we were given a truncated, incomplete investigation into those horrible allegations. The questions that I had about the so-called FBI tip line have still not been answered. And now we have the 180 reversal of the pre-election nomination principle so recently announced by our Republican colleagues. Those are three major aberrations or irregularities clouding each one of those nominations processes, and they are matched with dozens of lesser irregularities in Senate procedure and Senate protocol and Senate norms and Senate rules, all of which have cleared the way for what I refer to as a judicial conveyor belt. These procedural aberrations and irregularities are bad for the Senate, I believe. They are bad for the court, I believe. They are awkward for individual senators who have to make explanations of 180 reversals. If it's bad for the Senate and bad for the court, and indeed bad for individual senators, who is it good for is the question that I think we need to ask. What explains our willingness to do all this self-inflicted damage to the institutions of the Senate, of the Supreme Court, and in some cases to our own reputations? To answer that question, I can't help but look over to the court. And when I look over to the court, I see a judicial selection process in which a dominant role in who gets selected for the Supreme Court has been given to a private, anonymously funded group. Perhaps the selection process is in fact entirely commandeered by the anonymous donors who control that selection process through that group. Once they've controlled the selection of a judge, you then see political campaigns mounted for the nominee, and those ad campaigns are run by another private organization funded by large anonymous donations. So our judges are selected through a group funded by large anonymous donations and campaigned for by a group funded through large anonymous donations. It seems improbable, given our understanding of human nature, to imagine that those large anonymous donations have no point, have no purpose. If you gave that kind of money to your college, you'd not only expect your idiot nephew to get in, you'd probably expect to have some buildings named after yourself. But $17 million checks get written by anonymous donors, and we have no idea who they are, and we have no idea what business they have before the court. Over at the court, legal foundations produce big strategic cases for which the court seems to be lowering the standing bar to let these preferred cases in, and those legal foundations bringing those big strategic cases are funded by large anonymous donations. And once the case comes for argument before the court, little flotillas of amici curiae, friends of the court, appear in chorus, all of whom are funded by large anonymous donations. There is no evidence to suggest that the donors behind those large anonymous donations are different for the groups selecting the judges, the groups campaigning for the judges, the groups lobbying the judges for cases, and the groups joining the amicus chorus. In fact, there's every reason to believe that it's the same group of donors who are running this entire operation. Why would you do that? Well, back when the number was 72, I pointed out that there were 72 cases under Chief Justice Roberts that were decided 5-4, in which the 5 were all Republicans, no Democrat joined them. It was a partisan 5-4 decision, and in which, in the case, a significant Republican donor interest had a stake, was implicated. And in every one of those cases, 72-0, the big Republican donor interest won the partisan 5-4 decision. Now the number is over 80. This combination of procedural irregularities to put justices on the court through a process with enormous anonymous donor influence, and then the reward to donor interests in those 80 partisan 5-4 decisions. The folks who are getting those victories may love it, but they're doing enormous damage to the court by having it run this way. And we, in participating in this effort with all of these procedural aberrations and irregularities, are doing enormous damage to the Senate and to the court, and in some cases, I expect, to ourselves. So it's worth taking a good public look at who the winner is at the price of all that damage. And I hope we're able to continue to do that. Thank you.